Welcome to TST Broadcasting, where we feature insights from timeshare owners and industry professionals. This is Shep Altschuler, and today we are being joined by George Chamberlain, a proactive timeshare owner, HOA board member, and member of the Timeshare Board Members Association. Hi, George. Welcome to the broadcast.
Glad to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your ownership and how you originally got involved in timeshare vacation ownership.
Well, it goes way back into the 80s when my wife and I ended up buying a week in exchange for a dice game in Incline Village in Nevada. That timeshare eventually went bankrupt, although I think we made out okay on it net. But since then, over the years, we've purchased weeks at 5 different resorts.
And where do you own currently?
Of course, I'm connected with the Trap Lodge in Stowe, Vermont, and then we have ownership at Disney World. We have points for that. We have the Vacation Village in the Berkshires and Oyster Bay in St. Martin for 2 weeks down there. And then, of course, we have the Manhattan Club, in which case we only have kind of 3 days 1 year and 4 days another year.
And, of course, you've been affected by the disaster that hit St. Martin's. Do you have any update on what's happening down there as far as your resort goes?
As far as we can tell, the management has been very proactive in keeping the owners informed as to what's been going on. They've posted stuff on the website, but they've also sent email updates to us. They took quite a hit, as you can imagine. They finally, at the beginning of June, began to open up portions of the resort, and we did not go down there in May, which was our normal time. We are now scheduled for a week in November, and we'll get a better picture of it. Other owners that we know that have gone down there since June say that the resort has made quite a lot of good steps forward to get it up to running. Of course, the whole island has issues, but different places are beginning to open up. Things are starting to return to a type of normalcy.
I'll give our listeners a little bit overview of what your experience over the years has been as a timeshare owner. What are the positive aspects and what might be issues of concern as an owner? And I know from our relationship that you are a proactive owner, but I'd like to first, focus on what your overall experience has been.
Well, by and large, my experience with the timeshares that we've been involved in, with the exception of Manhattan Club, have given us some feeling of comfort that the people managing those resorts know what they're doing and do take into consideration the interests of owners. By and large, the things that I think trigger an owner to get upset is an increase in maintenance fees or a special assessment. And the other thing, of course, would be that if you arrive at your resort and there's a lot of mistakes, problems, things aren't the way they should be, owners that experience that then should be raising complaints right at that point. And the times that we've had that kind of a situation, the resorts that we've been dealing with seem to be fairly prompt in trying to correct those things that arise right when you're there. As you well know, a lot of owners are not very proactive. They don't view this as much an ownership thing like they would with their home, and so they kind of tend to just roll along and let things be unless there's one of those events I just mentioned.
Now, what prompted you to become active at the Trap Family Guest Houses? You're on the board of directors, and you attend the Timeshare Board Members Association meetings when the scheduling works out. Why did you become active in the governance of the resort?
The board at Trap, which is fairly active in itself, sent out a solicitation for people that might be interested in joining the board, and that seemed like something that would be interesting to do, especially considering the cachet of the Trap family operation. We went through an interview process with certain board members, and I was selected. And I have found it to be a very rewarding experience with a group of people that really do look out for the owner's interest. Now, they may not always be in a position to handle a particular problem just because it either takes more money or it's a problem that we have to farm out in some way. I would say that the owners at TRAP, there are several of them, some of them that we hear a lot from. A lot more often the proactiveness comes from the people who arrive and say, find something that's not being done properly, either with their unit or not being ready. We have gone through a number of increases over the years in our maintenance fee, primarily because the early boards did not set up proper reserve accounts, and so we've had to kind of work our way to building them, and that has caused some consternation among owners because obviously the fees go up for that purpose.
Now, a lot of owners and even some board members, aren't as aware or sensitive to the fact that running a timeshare association, owners association, is running a multi-million-dollar business. There's a lot of money at stake. It's spending the money that the owners pay in terms of maintenance fees. And how does your board view that responsibility of running this somewhat complicated multi-million-dollar business?
Well, obviously, as a board, we take it very seriously, and I like to think that our owners have some understanding of the problems we have to deal with in managing something, and that may be why we don't get a lot of complaints. We certainly get some, but we don't get a lot of complaints concerning the governance of the operation. We are owners ourselves, so we feel whatever goes on rather directly. Hopefully, in other timeshares, if there is a proper board in place, it can handle a lot of these issues, and it can respond to questions coming from owners, but they're also on top of trying to make sure that whatever issues there are being addressed. One of my concerns is that many of timeshares don't have proper boards, or they have boards that are rubber stamps, and in that case, the owners who, if they can realize that, they need to start taking action on their own on particular issues and force them a bit more than they might otherwise need to do. I think that every time we have to change our fees or raise money or take some major step, we try to let owners know this is happening, and we try to be in a position to handle any questions that they might have as we go along. In other cases, if situations just happen, things just get done and owners aren't informed of it, they don't get any word of it. If the board that they have isn't going to deal with these things, then they've got a problem.
Now, how important has the Timeshare Board Members Association, TBMA, been to you as a board member?
I can't speak highly enough about TBMA. I've gone to a number of conferences, as you well know. I've tried to get, in some cases, we've gotten other board members to be able to attend as well. And everybody comes away from it with all kinds of ideas and questions that we might want to apply to ourselves. So it's been a great operation. It's been very helpful generally in coming back and throwing out new ideas in how we can operate better.
Well, George, I want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're on the road right now and you're traveling. So, again, thanks for joining us, and I appreciate your support for TBMA and all that you've done for your resort up in Vermont.
Thank you, Shep, and thanks for all your efforts.
And this concludes this program on TST Broadcasting. At Timesharing Today, your opinion really does count. So be sure to follow us on Facebook and send your comments to staff@tstoday.com. We value your participation and support.